There's a story so many ambitious women know all too well. You follow the rules, land the prestigious jobs, and from the outside, it all looks like success. On the inside, you're quietly asking, is this really what I'm meant for? And that's the question Jennifer Berson asked herself as a successful civil litigator before she walked away from law to build something on her own. Today, she's the founder of Jeneration PR, an award-winning agency serving top beauty brand and lifestyle brands, or beauty, baby, and lifestyle brands, and the creator of Jeneration Academy, where she mentors women like me around the world to build profitable, sustainable PR agencies without burning out. And through programs like the Pitch Lab and Agency Accelerator, Jen has helped thousands of women claim their brilliance, scale their businesses, and get their clients into top tier media, all while protecting the time and energy that matter most. So please welcome Jen. Thank you for welcoming me onto Finally Seen. I'm so happy. You and I've been friends and colleagues for 8 years now, I think?
Years. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks
Long
for
time.
having me. I'm so excited to be on your show. You're so great at what you do. And I'm just excited to have a conversation with you and talk shop.
Oh, well,
And
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. And for the audience, I tried to make it quiet here, but for some reason, well, I know the reason, but my dog is not happy that he's in his kennel.
Aw.
And that's what happens when you have a 175-pound puppy. They get mad and they're loud. So sorry if you can hear that. In the beginning, I introduced you as somebody who had a successful career as an attorney. And then you just said, nope, never mind. Plot twist. What led you to that decision?
I love that plot twist. Yeah, I practiced litigation for 4 years. And at the time, I was kind of meeting my husband and then newly married. And, it kind of felt like I was trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just did not feel like the right fit for me. I just also kind of looked around and didn't really see any female role models where I could say, I'm going to follow in her steps and do everything she did and I'll make partner. And then that is the path I want to be on. There weren't any women that I could look to that had done that and still had the kind of family life that I always knew I wanted. They weren't as present for their kids as I knew that I would always want to be as a parent. I was very lucky. My parents my mom sold real estate. She has a teaching credential. My dad is an auto broker. So they had careers where they could kind of make their own hours and work on their own schedule. And that was always really appealing to me. And when it came to billable hours in law and these minimums, and it's like the published minimum is one thing, but the expected minimum, it's something entirely different. It just felt like I was like a hamster on a hamster wheel, just constantly running in place. And as I married my husband and we started talking about having kids, I just didn't see that the path I was on was going to allow me to be the kind of mom and wife. And, I always also knew I wanted to kind of eventually have my own business. So yeah, total plot twist. I left law entirely and started a PR firm with no training and no contacts and no experience, like nothing. And that was a very unpopular decision with my family. My husband was all in. He was like, yes, you got this. You'll crush it. My parents, not so much, I think, because they were afraid and, I had a mortgage payment and all these things that,
Big
made
change.
the yeah, but I planned for it. I had savings and I gave myself a runway and I knew I could always come back to law. And I gave myself 6 months of a solid runway and said, we're going to make this happen. And at 6 months, we'll reevaluate and see. But it was right away off to the races. I just figured out how to launch the business in a very lean way. So I didn't have a ton of overhead other than my normal living expenses. And I generated enough revenue to bring on a team member in the beginning to help me scale. I mean, it took a little time and I had some advice from an early mentor that was less Jen equals more money. So, I'm like, okay.
That's what I try to tell other entrepreneur friends too, is the more you're doing, the less your company's making and the less everybody makes. And that's one thing I stress with our team too is, guys, the more that y'all get off my plate, the more everybody can get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. And the faster you can grow, the faster you can scale. Um, and you can niche down and really figure out where you want to be and what expertise you really want to sink your teeth into. And then that's where you're really able to elevate your rates and generate even more income and, attract your dream client. I mean, all this. You're in, we've talked, I feel like I'm talking to you about all the things that I've already talked to you about, but now we're, sharing it more. But it's like, all of the stumbling blocks in my journey and all the stories and all the why. And, it's like interesting because it's still, 20 years into running my agency, 20 years this year, which is insane.
Amazing.
It still tracks the same way. Like the path works for other people too. And, anytime someone we just had in one of our communities, I know you saw, they said they're really burning out, doing everything. And she
Yeah.
was like, what do I do? I'm pitching, I'm building the business. And, the philosophy is, well, you've got to either, like you recommended, like a CEO day and just take the time. One day is a pitching day, another day you're working on the business. Or maybe it's time to bring on a team member, and it's scary at first, but that's where you're really able to accelerate your growth.
Oh
I
my
know
gosh.
that's happened
Hiring
for you.
the first person was so scary.
Yeah.
And, but I started little. I think she started at, I think even 5 hours a week, like super small. And then just grew to 10 and then 15 and then 20. And then I feel like once we got to the 20, it was like, boom, I need you to go 40.
Yeah. Let's go. What else can you do? What else can I get off
Exactly.
my plate? Once
And
you like release that control of, I need to do everything myself and nobody's going to do as good of a job as I do. At this point, 20 years in, I know that my team is doing a way better job than it's just not what I want to do, right? Like I figured out in my business, I don't want to pitch. I don't want to be doing the day-to-day execution. I want to work on client strategies. I want to work on our business building strategies. I want to dedicate time to coaching and building our community of PR professionals because it is like that feels so rewarding to me,
yeah,
impacting women and showing them a model for having it all, and being a mom and having a business that you can work on your own terms and time. And like that gives me so much satisfaction and makes me really feel like I'm living my purpose, like to impact because of the fact that I started in a career where that kind of integration wasn't possible. Now I'm like, oh, you guys, we can do this. Like, we can have it all. If this
yeah,
is what's interesting to you, let me show you how to do it. And then we find amazing community members like you. And I'm always blown away by how smart, talented, open, generous, sharing like our community is because in my journey, like building my business, it wasn't like that for
yeah,
me. I couldn't find that in our industry. It just felt very like, these are my secrets. And if I share them
yeah,
with you, then you're going to have an advantage that I won't have anymore. And our community isn't like that. And
yeah.
so it's just gratifying to be,
I say
building
that I
that.
talk about, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, but
No, no.
I talk about our community to practically everyone. And I think I've mentioned it on many of these episodes.
Oh, good.
Because
I love that.
it's just so different that we are like, oh yeah, here's what I'm charging right now. Or, oh yeah, this costs me this. Or, oh, here's a contact. Like it very much is the tide rises all boats type of
Yeah.
thing,
Yep.
and not
Yeah.
operating from a scarcity mindset or you're cutting from the piece of my pie or,
Yep.
that sort of thing, which
Yeah. And I get asked all the time, wow, like I literally with at least Agency Accelerator and the Pitch Lab too, it's like my exact process. This is exactly how I run my business. Here's everything I've learned in 20 years. Here's the red flags, the landmines, here's what to avoid, here's what we charge, here's a contract. Things that I've spent years cultivating and building and learning by trial and error. And it's like, I just give it, and it's kind of scary at first because you're like, what if there's bad actors that, take it and do something with it or like use it again? I don't know. It's just like you're taking your life's work and being like, here, strangers on the internet have everything. And I'm just, it's weird because people will say, aren't you worried that you're going to give people the playbook and then they'll like put you out of business. And it's like, no, because that, again, the scarcity mindset would lead you to think that. But we have abundant mindsets that are like, you know what, there's enough to go around. And I'm not you and you're not me. Like, we don't do the same thing. We have our different approaches and different niches and areas of expertise. And it's fun for me because I mean, I try to really get to know everybody that comes through and what they focus on. And like we'll have coaching calls and I'm like, hey, Chrissy, you take this one because you're going to answer that way better than I am, And I think that people that are just coming into this universe, they get something, and people that are established and seasoned and really, crushing it in their businesses. I mean, I hope that you come on these calls and when you share what you know how to do, that gives you a feeling of value too, because you're like, oh, yeah, I know what to do. Like, I got this. And you feel like I'm a teacher too. That's what I love, because it's like there's someone is getting something out of it no matter what level they're at.
Yeah.
And that's just really awesome for me to see. And the community came together better than I ever could have imagined. And I am so lucky and grateful that I'm at the core of it, because I kind of set it all up, but it's really like a collective.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned in there about niching, and I know that that's a topic that comes up a lot in
Yes.
any kind of industry. So how did you choose your niche, and how do you suggest people go about choosing that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, we have a lot of stuff that we go through in our programs, and even some like, free stuff, just because a lot of it's like, first of all, you have to make this decision, or you have to at least go in some direction. And niching could be, or niching, it's whatever, same. It could be what you do in your agency, like what service you're providing, that's a niche. And then who you serve. It's like who you serve and how you serve them. So if you think you're going to be all things to all people and you're going to provide all the services that the client comes to you and says, I want, duh, 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 and you're like, okay, we'll figure this out, you're spread too thin. When you are all things to all people, you're not really an expert to anyone. You're not really giving that top level service to anyone. When you know all the players in an industry, who the gatekeepers are for the media contacts that are going to impact your clients the most, all of the movers and shakers, like what is actually happening in this industry. Then you're really valuable. You become able to charge what write your own ticket, basically, because people are coming to you for that deep expertise that only comes when you can focus on your niches. So for me, I actually left law and started Jeneration because I love the beauty industry. Like, love, love, love. I've always, when I was 7 years old, I went in my mom's bathroom and I got the bright blue La Femme eyeshadow and like just smeared it on. And I'm like, look at me, I'm wearing makeup. And my mom was like, hold on, Tiger. Like, what is this? I always have loved like makeup and skincare and just the power to transform, or at least like the promise of the power to transform. Right. And that was always really interesting to me. And I didn't even know what PR was when I started my business. What I knew is I had somebody in my life that was like married into my family. They were like my cousin's husband's cousin's wife, if you can make those connections. And she was the coolest. She is the coolest. And anytime we would go to her house, she would have this floor to ceiling beauty closet with just samples, and it was all lined up, and it was like her private Sephora. And I was like, oh, I want to have that, right? Like, I want to have my own beauty closet and be like, oh, you need this and you need that, just share products that I love with the world. And so that was kind of the impetus. And when I started my business, I worked in law and started working in PR unpaid on the side. I found a fragrance company that I loved. I found it in Europe. And when I realized this woman was actually based in the US and like nobody had heard of this product, even though everyone asked me about it, it was a fragrance. I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I love this. I found it overseas, but you're here in California, which is where I am, and I've never seen it. Why aren't you at these stores? Why don't more people know about you? Can I help you get some visibility? Just send me a huge box of free products and shockingly, she sent a stranger on the internet all this free stuff.
Oh my
And
gosh, that's
oh my God, it was so great. And I was still a lawyer and I had court that morning. And when I came back to my office, this box was there. And my, legal assistant and came in my office and we were like tearing through this box, like, oh my God, it was lotions and shower gels and soap and everything smelled amazing. And I was like, okay, we got to get this here. And it just came so like immediate to me. This fragrance called I Am Beautiful. We have to get it to Christina Aguilera, who has a song right now called Beautiful that's top of the charts. Then we have to tell Bobby Thomas at, In Touch or whatever that she, wears this and whatever. And so I did that. I just figured it out, reverse engineered contacts, got a press mention in the print magazine. Oh my gosh, print. It's been a million years. Actually, we did get a print feature recently, but it's been a very long time.
yeah, same here, same here.
So long. I used to go to the newsstand every week, and now I'm like, print? Like, what is this thing I'm holding in my hand? But that single piece of visibility for this brand skyrocketed her sales. She had customers reaching out, she had boutiques reaching out. It was like a huge, immediate, positive impact. Whereas when I was a litigator, it was long, protracted,
Mhm. Yeah.
expensive litigation, trying to drag out who can outspend and, wear the other side down. And there was never anything like productive or valuable that came out of it. I wasn't building up a business, I was tearing it down. And I did not like that. It was not the right thing for me. So that feeling, and I still have that feeling when we land press, that excitement of like, we did this and this is going to have a positive impact on a business that I really love and believe in. That was like a drug to me. And I was like, how do I get more of that? So naturally, I just kind of went in the direction of beauty. And then actually, my very first paying client was a baby and kids brand. I had a lead on a company. We knew about them from celebrity wedding gift bag we did for all of the wedding attendees for an MTV couple getting married. And it was like rock and roll and super fun. And one of the products we had was this bathrobe that was like $200 or $300, really beautiful. But it happened to be a baby blanket company that made these very luxurious bathrobes. So I just reached out to them and I said, let me hustle for you. I know I'm brand new at this and I will come in half price of what market rate is and give me 3 months and you'll see my energy and what we can, do, and we'll see what happens and we'll reevaluate. And I worked with them for 11 years.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, 11 years, which is like, for anyone that doesn't know PR, that's an eternity,
Yeah, that's a long.
And ultimately, like, their needs, they wanted to focus on, affiliate stuff, and have me manage that. And I was like, that's not really what I want to do right now, which is interesting because now it's like, okay, it's part of our, performance PR approach that we're
Mhm.
taking. But that kind of opened the door to baby and kids because they had a lot of celebrities using the products, which we seeded to them, which is fun and easy and kind of like, ooh, cool. Angelina Jolie and Halle Berry and was it Halle Berry? No, maybe. Sorry. Gwen Stefani. I mean, everybody, Kim Kardashian, all the Kardashian, like everybody just was carrying it. And that catapulted our success in the baby and kid space. So I happen to really love beauty, cosmetics, skincare devices. And then we ended up getting that side of it also just from having a phenomenal case study, which the power of
Yeah.
case studies is so awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, I know that we've all done where we'll do something we've never done before at a lower rate so we can get that case study,
Yep. Yeah.
and it's just really fun when you get that. And like you said too, with the once you land that, for me, that's still my most favorite part. Like if I outsourced everything else I did, I would still want to actually land the media because I do love that. I love when the client gets that clarity and then it's like, dang, I did make an impact. And so
Yeah.
I love that part.
Yeah, you're
Um,
exceptional at that. You are really good at finding the gems to create a story. I mean, I know you're like very trained in this particular thing, but you're able to pull all of the elements together really well and find what's compelling about this person's experience, their transformation or what hurdles they had along the way and then turn that into a compelling lesson. Like you're very, very good at that. And I stay away from that stuff entirely because I don't really represent people per se. You're telling stories of founders and authors and experts and people that just have interesting backgrounds. I'm talking about shampoo. Like it's very different. But
Very
sometimes,
different. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people realize that.
yeah, it's a
But
totally different approach.
to
Yeah.
your point with the people getting the sales, I one time I remember sitting here and then emails kept coming through about Sienna's jewelry, and it was like, we've got a sale, 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 and I was like, what is happening? So I googled her name. Oh, a piece came live. Okay, cool.
It's
It's
like
like,
the best when you see that come through and to know where it's coming from. And it's like very powerful, right? It's very kind of immediate. And I know in PR, we're not totally responsible for an increase in sales. That's not a KPI that I want to be measured against. But now with everything kind of linking from the where it originated, and sometimes there's an affiliate link tied to it, and you can actually kind of track that those sales are coming from our efforts. We'll have clients tell us, like, since we've been working together, we've seen X percent increase in, profit, not just revenue,
yeah,
but profit. And we have long-term relationships. Like our clients stick around five
yeah.
plus years more because, I mean, obviously it's like adding value for them. And that's really great to hear that this is not just like vanity. It actually
Yeah.
does impact the bottom line. That's what I love
That's
to.
one thing that we really strive to do too, is find some sort of KPI that we can monitor. And so like for one of our clients, they do a lot of Meta ads and Google ads. And so they know their conversion rates on those. And so with the PR that we're starting for them, that should increase their authority, credibility, the know, like, and trust factor, which should help their conversion rates of the sales. And, I know the sales team has been perfectly trained. So I think that, coming from these cold ads, like
Mhm.
Google ads are not as cold because the person's typically searching,
Right.
but like Meta ads are disruptive. So those are most likely going to be cold. So yeah, I love that we can say, okay, well, here is a metric we can track to see. I wanted to ask about, because I know you and I are both moms,
Yes.
and I know that me being a mom has totally changed the way I operate and handle myself and communicate with clients and other people. What lessons have you taken from mom to CEO?
Oh, it's such a great question. And I think, my boys are 13 and 15 now. And I know your kids are older too. It's so different than when they're babies. And then, kind of each stage and your involvement in their day to day and their interest in spending time with you changes. Um,
Now you're just bruh or
I'm
dude.
bruh, drive me to the mall, bruh. Yeah. It's changed over time, but, it's funny because I also wrote an article about this a long time ago on LinkedIn. It was like, "I'm a mom, sorry, I'm not sorry," and it was, like, the only thing in my life that's ever gone viral, and it's, like, LinkedIn viral, which is, like, 100,000 it's, like,
Yeah.
not, like, viral, but, like, for LinkedIn, it was a lot, and I still get comments on the article, but it's basically, like, we become really efficient and focused. You start to think about, you have these parameters in your day, like, especially when they're in school. They go to school during a certain period of time and then they're back. You have to pick them up or whatever. And so you know that your hours are set. And maybe you can work a little bit when they come home, but it's not as focused work. And so I have been really good about my planning of my days and planning things around my energy level and when I feel the most
Mhm.
creative and the most focused. And I also, what I love about this business is that if when they were little, in elementary school, I was an art docent, I was room mom, I would volunteer a lot because I just wanted to be in the classroom when I had those opportunities. And this setup allowed me to do that. And so I took advantage of that as much as I could. So what I do is I'll stack meetings on certain days. I have like kind of almost theme days, like I know you do too. It's like I try to keep Fridays wide open because, I can take care of things in the business if it needs it, or I can, if the kids have the day off or a half day or whatever, we can do something there.
Yeah.
But, Tuesdays I have most of my meetings. I want to optimize a day that I've taken a shower and dried my hair, right? So if I'm going to be on camera recording a podcast, like some days it's a dog walking day and you're just in your baseball hat and your, sweatpants. And like, those are days where I'm just head down and really focused on the kind of deep work. But, just being a mom, like really in terms of clients, it's like I don't really take any BS. Like, I know how I want to be treated. I know what I can do. I know how hard I've worked to get here and what I have to offer. And if a client, like, we've had clients misbehave and I'll like call them out on it. And that might be the end of the relationship. But I'm very protective of my team.
Yeah.
And I always will like take the blame and I'll give the credit because that's how I would want
Very
to be.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you would wanna be treated if you were on someone's team. So it's like empowering them, like we wanna do with our kids. We wanna I'm, well, talking a little low because my kids are home from school today. I don't want them to be like, "You don't do that, mom." They're teenage boys now, but I wanna, like, with the team and the way it is with the kids, you wanna, empower them to figure things out on their own and make good choices and,
Yeah.
kind of, figure out what they like to do, what their sweet spot is, what are they good at. And, I not that I treat my team like children, that's not what I'm saying. It's more like giving them, the trust to
Yeah.
figure things out. And if you keep doing it for them or taking over and like controlling, they're never gonna learn those skills on their own. And so, I think just being a mom and saying, like, I'm not gonna cut your steak like forever, like, not that I ever did that, but they have to learn to be self-sufficient. And I think in business, it's kind of the same with your team, giving them that freedom and flexibility. And like, I hired you because you are fantastic at this. And like, you own that. And I'm not here to second guess you. And if there's an issue, we'll deal with it. But for the most part, my team are all also very senior and they're like at that level where they can self manage and, I
Yeah.
don't have to like oversee them too much. And now my kids, they're able to
Yeah.
like do, figure it out. They're old enough to figure out what their homework is and make the time to sit and do it. We still have to kind of, you know, stand over
Prod a
them a
little.
little bit.
Yeah.
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 But you want to give them those skills so that they can launch and like leave the nest. And I
Yeah.
also think too, like, whether they're getting this right now or not, I think that it's important for, especially because I have boys, to see women in an
Yeah.
entrepreneurial role, in a leadership role, in an equal partnership, where they're seeing that. I mean, to me, this is like very important that they see that women are equals and that they are competent and capable. And, my business is not cute. It's not a side hustle. It is real. When my husband quit his job, I supported the family, while he figured out his next thing. And I think that's important, for girls to see. I don't have girls, but for boys also to like have that as a good example.
Yeah. That's been one of the things that I'm most proud of is that the girls have seen that. And so they both kind of, they don't take crap from people. They're pretty good about knowing what they want. They are just like, I'm going to go for it type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing that you were saying something too, and it made me think, okay, y the little side hustle comment.
Yeah.
That's what I know a lot of women get their businesses get treated like that, like cute little side hustle. And that's something that I sort of struggled with. Not that I looked at it as a cute little side hustle. For me, it was, I was just in freelance mentality.
Yeah. I remember.
And then it was like, and many people actually don't know this. I know you know it, but I went and worked in house for one of our clients who was an agency and then got laid off within or two times within like 2 years and decided, yeah, no. And after seeing that happen, I realized, wait, why are you playing small and being freelance? No, 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 no. And I didn't even want to go solopreneur. Like I was like, no solopreneur, we're going CEO. And it was like, flip the switch, let's go.
That's when you found me. And I was like, yeah, baby, let's do this. That's the model. It's like, it's that difference. But I mean, it's a lot of times it's the exact same work that you're doing. It's just how you're approaching it and
Yeah.
what you're building and how you're sharing what you do with people, what words you're using. I mean, at least it was for me. I'm like, this is the same whether I say like I'm freelance and it's just me, or like we can help you and I have a business, you put some structure behind it and it's bigger than just you and doing freelance and at the whim of, the client. Now it's like, well, I run an agency and I am an expert and this is my approach, this is our strategy, and it becomes more of like a bigger strategic approach versus like someone who's just, executing on what the client wants. You're
Yeah.
now driving the ship and you can charge more and you're building
Yeah.
something.
Well,
Yeah.
and one thing that I remember, I was early on switching from saying I to we,
Yeah.
even before you have a team.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even before I had other people, I had contractors here and
Yep.
there that would do little things. So it still was a team effort on some things.
Yeah.
So switching to that we, and even now, even though I've got 4 people on my team,
Wow.
including myself, like some people still just think, oh, Chrissy just works from home. Like, okay, sure.
Yeah. I know this working it from home thing. I've been doing it for 20 years. And in the
Thank
beginning, it was like almost like I had to keep it a secret because I thought it didn't lend to any credibility and it made me seem rinky dink and whatever. And then I started changing. Like I'd have clients that would ask and I would dance around. I'll meet you at Starbucks or whatever, And then I started to like realize, maybe this isn't actually an asset because we have low overhead. We're not
Yeah.
renting a space. It's not like I needed a showroom because we're not doing fashion or anything like that. And then I positioned it as like passing the cost savings on to clients because we don't have all this overhead. Now we can just use it for like manpower to pitch and get you results. And then the pandemic happened and I'm like, okay, welcome everybody to working from home. Like it is possible to be effective and efficient and, kind of funny to see everybody scrambling. And I'm like, oh yeah, we got this. We've been doing this for 15 years now. Like we know
Yeah.
what to do. But it's
Maybe
just,
you're like, I already had the Zoom, like paid Zoom because I'd already been
we're,
doing it.
yeah, yeah. It's like, bring it on. We've got this. And it was a little different having like the whole family here and homeschooling. And my kids were like in second and third grade and which is crazy because the older one's in high school now, which is like, you know. Um, and it's kind of interesting too, because I've been talking about my family and like how when I transitioned into motherhood, which was 5 years into running my business, is when I became a mom and you know, talking about that transition and what it was like and how the business supported being a breastfeeding mom and, having a kid with colic who is right over there and probably listening to me. And like, people that have been part of my world and you've been almost 10 years, it's like, we see our kids grow up and we like see each other experience these new phases and milestones as parents, as moms, and business owners. I just think it makes it so much sweeter and so much more um, meaningful when we can like share it together, like we're doing this with each other's support. And yeah, I might work from home and my team is remote, but I feel like I have a community lifting me up and supporting me. And when things are hard, it's like we don't hold back. I'm not out there like everything's great for me. Like, why isn't it great? It's like, yeah, let's talk about the hardships we're facing so that we feel normal. And like you said, we talk about what we charge and, how to price your services. And I think that that discussion around money is very empowering for women because, it typically hasn't been like a female thing to talk about finances.
Yeah.
And I think it makes us more informed and stronger and more confident because half the time someone will come on and say, oh yeah, I'm doing XYZ and I'm getting these results and I'm charging $500 a month. And I'm like, "Ugh." Like, are you kidding me right now? Like you need to 10X that immediately. And it's so scary for them. And we're like, do it. We've got you. And when they do it, they're like, "What?" Like, I know you've had that experience too, where you're like,
Yeah.
this is my benchmark. This is what I charge now." And I'm like, "There you go."
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's like amazing. It's so empowering. And I feel like a lot of us couldn't do that if we didn't have that like openness and conversation and visibility and then
Yeah.
support, to say like, "You're crushing it and you need to be charging more because you're
I know
way
you still say that.
under."
Yeah, you
Yeah.
still say that to me now, but I remember the first time that I kind of did the biggest increase in prices, I had to like kind of trick myself. And so there was a tool that I wanted, and it would really help in bringing better results for the clients. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to charge this much more a month so that I can afford that
Yep.
tool.
To be better
And
for them.
so, yeah. So in my mind, I was like, this isn't selfish at all. It's actually going to end up being better for them. And it was, and it
Yep.
worked.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep. Yep.
now I don't have a problem saying what our
Yeah.
rates are and
Yeah.
just going, it is what it is. If you don't
Yeah.
want those rates,
Then
I'm
come
not
back to
for
me
you.
when you can. Yeah. Yeah. When someone else like does it for half and they do kind of a bad job and you botch your book launch or you squander your launch timing, like come back. Like we do, that's kind of what we have been known for like a period as we've gotten multiple clients that have come to us and they had like a very slow launch or like something didn't go well or they had an agency that didn't communicate well. Like we want to learn from that, what went wrong, and like make it better for them because I don't want them going out in the world and saying PR is not worth it, PR
Yeah.
agencies suck or whatever. Sometimes clients will call and they'll be like, my agency did this, and I'm listening and I'm like, they didn't, this sounds like a you problem because they sound like they did everything right. Your expectations. We talk about
Yeah.
this a lot too. Expectations aligning with what is likely to happen, what is possible, and what timeline, the timing around things. A lot of, I would say all of the dissatisfied clients have unrealistic expectations or they're not
Yeah.
aligned with what is likely to happen. And I think that's our job to step in and be like, okay, here's what. So everyone's on the same page. And then
Yeah.
you hope to like exceed expectations and totally dazzle them with your quick brilliance and all the results you get right out of the gate. But if they're expecting to be on national TV in the first week, then they're probably going to be a little disappointed. So we have to
Yeah.
like set the record straight so they know, what you're here to do.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up that the campaigns are not always going to go well. I have a Substack in draft right now that
Mm,
probably will go out by the time this airs, but it's about the energetics behind, undercutting your rates. And, when you look at it from a quantum science
yeah.
aspect, there's a vibrational mismatch and a, misalignment there. And so it's just going to naturally set the campaign up for failure. And I've even gotten to a point where I kind of check the other people's energy. Like, are they bringing scarcity to the campaign? Are they bringing desperation? Are they bringing, this like, it has to work or
Yeah.
everything crumbles?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Tired of overpriced energy drinks full of junk? Same. That's why I use Babello, a self-carbonating hydration packet that gives you clean energy, electrolytes, and vitamins without the crash. Just add water, shake, and sip. It's way more affordable than typical energy drinks and way better for you. Use code ChrissyBernal15 at checkout to get 15% off at drinkbabello.com. Hydration just got an upgrade.
whether somebody like quote unquote believes in that or not, it just is, right? Like you don't have to believe in it. It's just there. And you can either be aware and like work within those expectations, or you could ignore it, but it's still there.
Yeah. It's
So
like
it's
gravity. Like you're
totally,
using it whether or not you want
yeah.
to.
You don't have to believe in gravity for it to like actually work, right?
Yeah.
And so, and we've seen that in pitching and the energy around pitching. And
Yes.
you're like the number one example where we're just like, there's a little like, it's kind of got like a little pick me vibe. And you're like, oh, because you were really like, this is so good. And like, why isn't anyone picking this up? And we're like, change the energy around it a little bit. And
Yeah.
you immediately landed like, first of all, the GOAT of features, which is anything in AARP because the reach is massive. And
Yeah.
then the Today Show, I think .com. And this was like within a week of us looking and being like, just change the energy around it. Like there's just something off energetically. And I love that you're applying that same, you know, uh, law of reality around quantum energy to the client process, because I look at it, it's the same thing. It's red flags. Is this client like just the energy's wrong and their expectations are wrong and their thinking is that they're going to get us, and no matter how great of a relationship I have with a journalist, I can't pick up the phone and call them and be like, hey, I have a client, put it in the New York Times.
Yeah.
No, it still has to match their editorial focus and the timing. It has to be exciting. It has to be relevant. Like, it's not just like I'm a PR badass and I could just pick up the phone and call a journalist friend and get it in. Like, that doesn't happen. It's just not how it happens. So to, have a client come on board and think you're going to like just turn everything around. PR is one piece of the puzzle. And we work best when there's a marketing team in place. And I know you do a lot of that as part of your service. Just to be able to have those assets and that strategy in place, and we're amplifying it and we're enhancing and shoring it up and making it even more impactful through earned media. That's the sweet spot. But if you're here like, this is all I've got, this is my whole budget, and you better turn this around, it's like, no thanks. You're not bringing the right energy, and I don't want to like have that pressure. It just changes how you approach things. You have to, like with manifestation, detach from the how, detach from the outcome. Just know it's meant to be, and it will come when it's right and in the right form and in the right way. And that's fun for me to kind of see like, oh, I never expected that to happen, but that's really cool.
It happens all the time where you're like, oh, okay, didn't see that coming, but
Didn't see
cool.
that coming. Yep. Welcome it with open arms, but like you just put out the right energy and then the right opportunities come along. You definitely, it's not that they just come and you think happy thoughts. It's that you know it will happen, and then you start acting in ways that attract those opportunities. And
Exactly.
yeah, that's really fun. It's fun for me to see too, like how our community does that. And I love that they're sharing wins. We have like a winning pitch vault, of just examples of people that have sent the pitch, and we show our members like what goes into it. Cause it's like, there are industries that I know nothing about. And someone will say, oh, for public health, like advocacy, I've got this amazing feature. And anybody can look at that pitch and see exactly what they said and what they did and how they convinced the journalist to land that feature. I think that's very cool, because I'm always like, how do they do that? And then you can actually see what went into it. But, it's very cool to see the community like just always stepping up and raising the bar, and very, very
Well,
fun.
and when, even when you hear stuff that but
Mhm.
it's just like being reminded of
Yeah.
it or reinforcing it. Like, oh yeah, you're right. Like with the energy thing, whenever I was stuck on that one pitch, and it's like, oh, I know that, but I needed to be reminded about it. And
Yeah. Sometimes it's like your blind spots, right? And so having a community, or even like if somebody listening doesn't have like a group like this, just ask a friend, ask somebody in the industry, like, can you get eyes on this? Or like, here's where I'm struggling, because we all have these blind spots. And you can look at the same thing multiple times and be like, I don't get it. And then somebody else gives you an unbiased, fresh perspective. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize it was reading that way. Or I didn't notice that like it's missing a really strong call to action, or there's no real like story here. You're just like spitting out facts, but there's not like an angle, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And I think too, just you're right. Like, I think there's a lot of value in, because we have members that I've been doing this 20 years. We have members that have been doing this 20, 30, 40 years. And I'm always like, why are they coming? I know why they're coming, because they want to reinforce that they're doing it right and that they know what's working now. And there's a lot of value and building of confidence. This is why I ask people, on the calls, I ask you all the time, like I said, because I know that you get a lot out of sharing what you know how to do. And it builds confidence. You're like, I'm an expert at this. Like, yeah, I'm on a call with all people that are doing what I'm doing, and I'm sharing what specifically I know how to do as an educator, as an expert. And it just builds confidence.
100%, which I always feel that way after I do my own interviews, like my own PR, and I go somewhere and I'm like, oh yeah, every question they asked me, I was like, oh yeah, I know the answer.
Yeah, I'm kind of good at this, right? Like, I know my stuff. Yeah.
It's funny. Just earlier this morning, I was thinking, I really need to get back on doing my own PR because it's been a while since I've done that. And every time I do, it always leads to new business
Yeah.
every single time. So it's like, why do I even stop doing that? But
Yeah.
it's, I think the cobbler shoes situation, it's like,
We always take ourselves as like the, back burner, enter awards, all of that. There's actually a bunch of awards open right now for our industry. It's like, they're not going to come find you. You got to be in it to win it, right? Like, you have to submit, you have to, and you don't need permission. You just throw your hat in the ring. And, same with pitching the media with your story. But again, it's like, it's always the last thing. We treat everybody else first and, work for clients first. But in our program, it's a big part of building the business and leveling up your retainers, and you're like really honing in on that expertise. So we try to get people to schedule it like a client appointment, almost like treating yourself and blocking out time to do that. But we all like let it fall by the wayside. I'm kind of guilty of that right now too. I'm just kind of like, where am I? It's 20 years. Like, what's my pivot here? Like, where do I see myself? Trying to like really. I mean, what am I talking about in this book? What do you think? You're the story brand expert. What's my hero journey? Or am I the,
I know that I could pull it out of you.
let's do it. I mean, that would be interesting. That could be an interesting, like, podcast or show, or like just like exercise. Like, what would that look like? And I mean, I have a lot of stuff. I've had so many cool things happen. I actually just recorded like a little mini off the cuff podcast about this. Like, we have a lot of topics we're like scheduled to do based on launches and timing and whatnot. But I had something like really cool happen. And like, I kind of manifested my dream car. I'm not going to like talk too much about it. I'll tell you like whatever. But and it just kind of happened because I like asked questions, and I sort of like, something happened and I was like asking whatever. And then then the person who delivered the car to me talked about how he started at the dealership washing cars. And then he was a mechanic, and then the company got a new CEO or like a new, president of it's like a multi-car lot. And the guy went around to like meet everybody and learn who his staff was. And he went up to everyone and said, what would you want to do at this company? And the guy that delivered my car said, everybody said like, oh, I'm really happy with what I'm doing. And he looked at the guy and said, I want your job. What confidence, right? We say chutzpah, right? Like, what nerve to say that to like the boss man, brand new. And you just came from washing cars and now you're a mechanic. The guy looked at him and said, well, we've got to get you some sales experience, and promoted him. And now this guy is like at a level, very young, and he's making really good money because he's in sales. He's very good at it. And it just got me thinking about how opportunities happen for you when you put that out into the world. You put that energy, you ask the worst thing they can say is no. It's how I built my whole business with coming from law and having no contacts, no experience. Just figure it out. It's like, well, I'm going to pitch this person. They don't know me, but I think I have a good idea for them. And the worst they can say is no. The worst this client I'm cold reaching out to can say is no, but they'll probably just ignore me. And that's not personal. It just is what it is. But you can't get those great breakthrough moments or those like things that you manifest if you don't put it out into the world or ask the right questions. And so I don't even know how I started talking about this, but
Well, no, you make me think. So, I call it building the container. And we even do that with our clients because a lot of them come to us and they're like, maybe, they're thinking exit strategy in 3 to 5 years, something like that. And they are not ready for that. Like they don't have a container built for it. And so we need to get everything so that it looks really good to those potential buyers. But even something we're doing ourselves, like I have a really lofty goal for next year.
Love it.
Which I'm like, it's totally possible. So I've already like done the work back to show the different possibilities of how it could be done.
Wow.
And I even went so far as to we use Basecamp. I put kind of blank projects to hold the space so that every day when I log into Basecamp, I see all the quote unquote new clients that are coming. And I'm just like saying, I'm prepared for it. We've got everything ready. I built the container and I will receive now.
We have the capacity. We have the desire, we have the manpower, like build it and they will come. Like it's ready for, just plop in the clients that are going to show up because you're putting it out into the world that you are able to do this,
Well, and it's taking, the universal law of action. That's the one that a lot of people don't want to do. They just think they make a wish and, it's like a genie and they wish and poof. No, you have to actually do the inspired action. So I call it divinely inspired, directed by God telling me what moves to make. And so it's like, how can I go wrong when I'm doing
it? And even if you don't hit that big lofty goal, which is like, of course you have the ability to, but even if you don't, the fact that you put this out there and set it up that way and you set the target high, you've probably overshot like a healthy growth margin like that you would normally get by just doing a little bit more and having a 10% increase year over year, which is great. But, if you set $1 million revenue goal for the year and you don't hit that, you're not a failure. You have exceeded probably what you ever expected you could. You just set the target really high. And so for us, it's like goals are motivators. They're not binary. It's not like I did it and I'm a success or I didn't get it and I'm a failure. It's like you use that to push yourself to bigger, greater, outcomes than just, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because it's working. And if I get new opportunities, that's great. I'm going to try to just have more revenue than the previous year. You're not really pushing yourself to that bigger goal that's going to stretch you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, let's see. Is there anything that you were like, I would really like to share this with other women who are maybe moms and entrepreneurs or just female entrepreneurs?
I think that kind of one thing that I've realized as a business owner, as a mom, especially like as a mom, we have in like this deep knowing, like an instinct. And I noticed that a lot of times people kind of talk themselves out of what their first thought is or their gut instinct or their gut reaction. Like for me as a new mom, like I noticed that there were some delays on the end of being, with my kid, and everybody around me was like, oh, late bloomer, everything will be fine. And it was like, I could listen to that, or I could like really trust my instinct that we're falling behind here. And I really believe that early intervention was key. And I know that, I know that more than anything about supporting your kid and what they need, right? But like a lot of times we'll say, like it's harder to say, I'm going to lean into that because there's something here than it is to be like, everything's going to be fine. Everyone says it's going to be fine. Like, let's just keep moving forward. And I think, it happens a lot as a business owner. When you talk to clients, you're like, God, I really want the money. Like, I really want a new client. I really want this to work. And your gut is like, red flags, something's not right, you know, and you go, well, it'll be fine. And you kind of overlook it. And it's like, there's so many decisions like that. And even knowing what business to start or what niche to lean into or what service you want to provide, listen to how your body feels. And also, when you're talking to people about it, are you excited and animated and your eyes get bright and your hands get more gestury and you're just more like activated by the thought of it? Or are you like, wah, wah, those are very telling. And I want all of us to have businesses and careers that have longevity. I want to love it for the long haul. I don't want to like burn out and be like, why did I build all this momentum towards and I, like I said, yes to this person just because it was like a paycheck. And now I'm on a path with something that I don't even love. And I just think that there is a lot of value in your instinct and your gut. And we especially have very strong instincts, and just listen to it. And like, if there's a nudge in a direction and it might not make sense, you're like, what? Go check that out. Go explore it. Go see what that could be for you, because the universe is there giving you signs and signals, and like, just have your antennas up and try to see what it's telling you. I actually have a note in my phone that like when weird synchronicities happen, I write them down because I'm like, ooh, I don't want to forget that. And it's like weird, some of the stuff. Like I will say like a random name, or just like driving together, my husband and I, and I'll just like randomly say a name that we're like in conversation. And I look over and the truck next to me has that name on it. And I'm like, whoa. Or we'll talk about a song and then it just comes on the radio. Like, what is that about? It's so crazy and cool. And so I write them down to see like, what is this? What is there? And it could be how you interpret it. It doesn't mean it's like you've got to figure out the signal from above. And if you don't nail what it means, it could just mean like how you interpret it and how you see that and what direction it takes you in, not overthinking like, what does this really mean for me? So just pay attention to that stuff. And it's really interesting where it leads you.
That is awesome. I love that. That is the perfect thing to wrap it up with. And that was very powerful. I mean, that could be like the whole episode right there. Like that's enough.
I love that stuff. And I know you do too. So I
do.
Wrap up on that note.
Yes. And Jen, so tell the listeners and viewers where they can find you, connect with you, listen to your podcast.
Yeah, my show is called Pitching Powerhouse. And it is geared towards PR professionals, but we talk about all kinds of stuff as it relates to growing your business and what's working now with connecting with the media and how to position your story, all the good things. I'm on Instagram at Jeneration PR, and check out Jeneration Academy for programs and whatnot, and Jeneration PR for our actual PR agency services. And I'm everywhere.
It's ridiculously affordable.
Which?
Both. I mean, anything you've ever put out, it's always been really affordable.
Aww,
so
thanks. So I should charge more is what you're telling me? No.
Well, even when I started, it was a stretch for me when I first joined, but that meant I actually went through it.
Yes, you're like, I'm going to get They say when you pay attention, and we try to keep our rates at a level where we can impact the most people, it's like, how can some people, when they're just starting out, they need it the most. So you have to make it possible for people to jump in and get the value out of it.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you so much, Jen. I will put everything in the show notes as well. And I will see you on our next internal
Yes,
call.
you will. And I'll call on you for you to share your expertise. like I always do.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.